Welcome to episode 5. I hope you guys are doing great. It's Friday, February 5th, 2021. So let's dive into some housekeeping. The first thing I want to talk about is field. So I have had some questions about field, and some people are concerned about not being able to meet the minimum hours. That is non-negotiable. 40 hours is mandatory. I need you guys to make sure that you plan out your days so that you can spend as much time as possible in the classroom. So, looking at it today, we have 3 weeks left in February, 4 weeks in March, kind of a blender week between March and April, and then 3 more weeks in April, giving you a total of 11 weeks, including finals week, to get your 40 hours in. That's over 50 school days, which means that you guys may have to go once or twice a week, spend a couple hours here just to get your hours in. If you have to go for 2 hours on a Friday that wasn't scheduled, that you're not planning on testing, that's okay, but get your hours in. Now let's talk about the lessons. You guys are required to write 7 lessons for the grade level that you're in. Before you start writing these lessons, I would talk to your teacher and see what they're comfortable with you teaching in their classroom. Somebody has told me that there was a teacher that was concerned about state testing and maybe only letting them teach 1 lesson. So my response to that is take your time, get to know your teacher. Maybe as they get to know you and see that you're a good guest and a respectful guest and willing to work and help them, they will be more willing to let you teach some lessons. Then once you kind of get a feel for where they are, go ahead and ask what they would like for you to plan, even if you're not going to use it. Just tell them that you need practice and you want it to be in alignment with what they're working on so that maybe they can look at your lesson plans and kind of pick their brain a little bit. I think it's important when you're in these situations that you collaborate with veteran teachers. Even if they're not using all of the new best practices that we're using, they do have just a treasure trove of experience that you guys need to try to pick up on as much as you can. All right, next, let's talk about mini lessons. There were some issues with the first round as far as students not meeting the minimum time limit. That is concerning. Remember that you have to have 10 minutes of original content, meaning that if you have a 10-minute 1-second video and 4 minutes of that is a YouTube video that you've integrated into your own lesson, that doesn't count as your 10 minutes. I need you guys to teach for 10 minutes. That's not a lot to ask, to teach 10 minutes every 2 weeks. Okay, next up, show, don't tell. I can read your lesson plans. I don't need you guys to go through and read them to me. I want you to show me what your classroom will look like, what you look like in front of the classroom. The example I posted from Megan this week was really good about differentiating in the classroom for different learning styles, different ability levels, and acting like you're the teacher. I know that maybe some of you are having trouble with the environment, and the environment may hold you back a little bit, but if you pretend that you're in the front of the classroom and act like you're having interactions with kids, that will prepare you for actually being in the classroom. And it helps me kind of critique your teaching style and little things that may make your classroom a little more efficient and help your classroom management. A lot of you guys saw comments where I was asking you to have your things written down so that you didn't have to have your back to the camera. When you have your back to the camera, that means that your back would be to your students. And when you're not watching your students, that's when bad things happen. I'm not saying like terrible things, but disruptions and horseplay and basically not being focused and engaged on a lesson. Those are things that are going to get dinged by your administrator in the future when you're doing your teacher evaluations. That, and make sure that you have a technology piece in every lesson. So with that, I want to dive into this week's questions. Okay, questions of the week. First one from Kylie. Do you use a lot of discussion in your class? Do you find it hard to teach all of your material when you're conducting discussion because of time? As you guys continue to teach, you're going to become more efficient at leading classroom discussions. So when kids kind of veer off track, you'll be able to bring them back. And when kids are quiet, you'll be able to fire them up. I think that it's really important for you guys to be able to focus more on using discussion as a learning tool than as a hindrance in content delivery. The way this question reads is that you kind of feel like discussion can be distracting and keep you from being this instructor in front of the class. I look at it as where real learning happens, when kids actually start to make those connections, when kids are creating their own understanding and bouncing ideas off of you, and you're able to come back with things that you may not have been able to think of before. This is what keeps the job fun, keeps kids interested, and really helps to make the material enjoyable. If you teach the same thing 7 times a day and don't have any authentic discussion, it's going to get very boring. This way, you and your kids are engaged. Next question is from Alexa. Is keeping a journal or a log, as explained in the reading, an effective method of assessing student progress for younger grades, such as 4th and 5th? Or are they too young to journal their understanding of topics? So I don't think you're ever too young to journal. I just think that your expectations shouldn't be as intricate as maybe you expect high school kids. So when 4th and 5th kids journal, or 4th and 5th graders journal, I would look at things like, how do you feel about class today? Was this hard? Was it easy? What did you like? What didn't you like? 4th and 5th graders can tell you that. Simple questions just to see where they are. Use it as a way to see if they're feeling comfortable with the content and assessing your learning environment. I think that's the most important thing for journal, but you're helping them develop the skills of self-reflection that will be really beneficial to them when they get to junior high and high school and start journaling in algebra and geometry. Next question, and this is the final question, and this is from Kylie again. I'm confused what chapter I should be reading this week. I know we had extra time to read chapter 1, so does that put us on chapter 3? Or are ABs supposed to be over chapter 3? So, looking at the schedule, you guys should be finishing up on page 130 this week. So, the 5th, you should have read through page 130. Your ABs are over any of the previous subjects. So for AB3, you guys are looking at planning whole class lessons with problem solving, suggestions for classroom instruction, assessing and understanding skills, number operations, or general pedagogical issues. Any of those things you can write your ABs over. Make sure that they're relevant, make sure that they're recent, and make sure that they're peer reviewed. Okay. Now I want to talk about participation in these discussions. Right now, I have only got 2 of you who are participating. I need participation in posting questions of the week from every student each week. So please get your questions posted for episode 6, and I will answer those next week. So I want to wrap up with this. I'm not going to be too lengthy today because I have included a podcast that I want you guys to listen to over the weekend or into next week as part of the content for this course. It's a podcast on teaching during COVID. I think it's pretty relevant, especially with all of our schools nationwide that are struggling to reopen and with you guys going into classrooms for field. So give it a listen. Stay safe. God bless.